unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name your price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The name your price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Studios near Detroit, Michigan. It's unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
All right, it is Wednesday, April 22nd. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
No Rich. He'll be back tomorrow. What's Donnie trying to do today? He's trying to shut down immigration for 60 days.
Why now?
Yeah, you're a month late, Holmes. Because, I've been the guy screaming about travel the whole time. Like, go for domestic next.
Yeah.
This is how this shit got here.
And also, immigration and international travel are two different things.
Yeah.
And immigration is not how diseases are spread.
You know, that is a good point.
You know, me planning on moving to another country and filing paperwork to do so and getting government permission is not how a disease, especially a disease like coronavirus, spreads throughout the world.
True, you should be shutting down international travel.
Yeah. So this is just an excuse.
Yeah.
And anytime he has an excuse to shut down immigration in any way to appease his base, then he's going to do it.
Well,
and this is absolutely nothing. I mean, it's kind of confusing message when you're saying like, oh, you know, a lot of places are overblowing this and we want to get the country back up and running soon, but also we're going to shut down immigration.
Yeah. And I think just like before, I think the Supreme Court's going to step in and go, no. And hopefully they'll go, hey, you got to go international travel or nothing. Because they'll probably make the point you made. Immigration and international travel are two different things.
Yeah. And I imagine if, I don't think that Trump is going to be able to get away with anything more just because we're facing a pandemic. Mm-hmm. When it comes to immigration, he's going to be limited in the same way. The courts are going to hit him back the same way that they have been. You know, he's been semi-successful in controlling immigration in ways that he wants to, but I don't think that he's going to be more successful just because of coronavirus. The courts are going to see right through that.
Yeah. And again, why now? Really? How do you think this thing got here? 2 months into this? Now we're going to start thinking about travel? Okay, sure.
Yeah, you can throw around all of the statistics about how much of our population is made up of immigrants and how they're being affected by coronavirus. But all that's moot as to how it spreads. They didn't bring it in with them. People getting on a jet plane and coming over from other countries brought it in.
Yeah.
They didn't smuggle coronavirus in their buttholes over the Mexican border.
Or, get ready for this, some American who visited China might have brought it back with them. Yeah, a white person. Think about that one, Donnie. But it's all because of travel.
Yeah. Yeah, this has absolutely nothing to do with anything.
Which it has mystified me this whole time that someone in New York City could just get on a plane and come here and make shit worse.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, shouldn't he shut down domestic travel? But even that's too late.
Yeah, we're starting to come down the backside of the hill in a lot of places.
Although, if it starts to spread more in the southern areas, in the more rural southern areas that it hasn't hit hard yet, which it's only a matter of time.
Well, it
could come back up here.
Or it might never because of inadequate testing in the rural areas. It might sweep an area, do its thing, and then leave, and we never know about it because shit is so rural.
That's possible, but if you're not having testing and if people aren't aware that they they have it, then they're going to spread it even more. So you would eventually see the cases pile up.
I just wonder though, we never saw the bloodbath we thought we were gonna see in Florida. What happened there?
What do you mean?
Like with Florida was one of the last states to hasn't Florida only been ordered to shelter at home for like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Like we thought with the elderly population and being so late to the party on sheltering at home that they were going to be the national focus was going to shift down to Florida, and we never saw those numbers spike like that. In fact, DeSantis was even on was it him or some, I think it was him, was saying that we managed to flatten the curve without enacting draconian laws or something like that. It was some Southern governor. I want to say it was him. So I don't know, I just wonder if there's something to this warmer weather. Because we talked about it last week. Like the West Coast never really, especially with all those homeless people out west. Like, I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good possibility. We really don't know. But I was trying to look to see if I could find some numbers, but yeah.
And I sent you guys that story last week that nobody talked about it. It was like a blip on the news radar about some study. It was probably like a lot of these things we see where the study was so small that I was like, don't pay attention to it. But it was about ultraviolet light and COVID-19. And it was just a little tiny blip on the news radar last week, and it's since come and gone. It was from like Thursday. And just with how things have played out in places like Florida and places like the West Coast, we were waiting to hear about shit going crazy in Texas. I don't know. Again, we are not scientists. We are not doctors. Well, we are two stoners in two separate basements.
It's 27,000 cases reported in Florida versus 247,000 in New York.
Yeah.
So
Florida don't have winter.
Florida only got a tenth of the cases. So, well,
now we have to. But how many tests have been done for Florida versus like that's?
Well, also because DeSantis says that Florida has quote flattened the curve without again quote draconian orders. But if you only ever have a tenth of the cases that New York had, there was no curve to flatten, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just got lucky. And if you did. So you did absolutely nothing. You did next to nothing to prevent it from spreading. You ended up with not that bad. So, I mean, maybe it is based on weather. Maybe it won't spread as much to the south as we're expecting it to. Although not all of the south is as balmy as Texas and Florida.
And then again, too, that there's a lot of rural areas where, like I said, you just might never know. Like the doctor, but the South is apparently, wants to be back to business next week.
Right, no, but remote areas where you might not know, that's only a temporary condition. Because when you don't know, then you don't test, you don't prevent, it spreads, and then you find out too late. So that's only a temporary situation of this spreading to some place where people we don't normally go to the hospital. Eventually, those people are going to spread it to others, and then it's going to end up in the hospitals and in the major cities.
That's fair. So just maybe places that they're so remote they haven't been tested yet. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Well, that's another possibility too, that Florida just doesn't have the complete numbers. Now, for them to be off by a factor of 10, that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah, I guess it's so great that even
there has to be something going on there.
Yeah.
Right. There's something going on there. Whether it was actions taken by Florida citizens, which is doubtful because what actions did they actually take?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
if it was actions taken by by DeSantis or any leader in Florida, again, what actions did they actually do to prevent it? So how can you prove that you did anything to prevent anything?
Yeah, you
barely did anything.
You're right, because the chasm is so big, the plus or minus could be 100% and there would still be a chasm. So I guess, you're right.
So there's some other factor going on here. There has to be. Either it's just chance that the way that this thing is spread just happened to not spread effectively into Florida as it did other states.
Just because
That's totally possible.
Because one of the things we heard about Italy was one of the reasons it hurt that population so much is they have one of Europe's elderly populations. So I thought, oh fuck, Florida is screwed.
They're elderly, and also Italians are sharing food, sharing wine, sharing silverware.
Yeah. But
they are kissing each other on the cheeks. They are hugging each other more than we do. They are not as, I mean, even, it's kind of just a European thing. Americans are actually more uptight about the germs than Europeans tend to be. Mm-hmm. Even if you just watch, I've been watching, a lot of British shows lately, and I'm kind of surprised how often I see somebody like share a piece of food or something, or lipstick or something like that I'm like, that would, if you did that in an American show, someone would at least comment on it, right?
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh no, that's kind of gross. A character would be grossed out by it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, there's just social behavior that happens in certain areas that's going to make it spread more. Now, again, does that mean anything about Florida? I don't know.
Well, I figured, like I said, with the elderly, I figured Florida and Arizona were fucked. Right? Those are two very popular retirement spots in this country.
But you're looking at two different things. Like, fucked, yes, if it spreads throughout Florida and Arizona in the way that it has other states, then those states are fucked because they have a higher population of vulnerable people. But those people have nothing to do with how it spreads. Having people who are vulnerable to it doesn't make it spread faster. Actually, what makes it spread faster is people who don't know that they're contaminated or are just affected slightly and they think they just have a common cold and they are going out in public and spreading it around. The people who are getting really sick are going to the hospitals. They aren't spreading it outside of that area.
So again, we're still learning about this thing. We're still, I was explaining to my mom today, maybe it's more for me to do it, but just, hey mom, remember basic, elementary school science. It's got to run through us all first, right? Yeah. Once it's run through us all, then our bodies have the tools to fight it off. It's like getting a vaccine shot.
But we just don't know. That's why it's irresponsible of the Florida governor to say, oh, see, we did it. We beat this thing and we didn't have to do X, Y, and Z. First of all, you might as well, you're the girl in the slasher flick that's running from the killer, right? And then he disappears and you stop running and you go, oh, I guess I outran him, right? You don't know. You chop him in the head with the axe and you're like, I killed the villain, right? And then he gets up at the last second and has just enough energy to kill you.
Or, to use a sports metaphor, we're celebrating before we're getting into the end zone.
Yes. I've seen the GIF. Well, who's the dude in the GIF who shoots, he does a really long, 3-point shot and then turns around. He sees it swirl around the edge and he turns around and puts his arms out like I'm the king and you watch it just bloop and pop out behind him. That's what you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'm starting my touchdown dance on the 10-yard line and meanwhile there's a guy 2 yards behind me that I don't know about. Yeah, man. Don't celebrate yet, fuckhead.
It's totally possible that, environmental conditions are a major factor and Florida's just never going to get hit that hard. But I don't know, and you don't know, and DeSantis doesn't know, and none of these people know. Nobody fucking knows. Fucking Fauci doesn't know.
Yeah, the difference between the rest of us and Fauci is Fauci will be like, hey man, I still don't know. We're still learning. When I know, I'll let you know. That's what Fauci says.
Yeah, so only time will tell. I really hope, I'm not trying to be an asshole about this. I really hope that Florida is, essentially, partially immune to this just based on location. That would be great. Mm-hmm. It would be fantastic if, a good third of the country just by where they live. Well, I don't know, actually, because probably most of the population is in the upper half, isn't it?
Well, yeah. It depends, really.
Still, if we have a wide swath of
it's mostly in the east half
of this country that is possibly it's not going to spread to, that helps us. That helps the whole nation. That helps us get a control on it.
It'd be pretty sweet if they're like, "Hey, we found a good treatment. Go outside." That'd be awesome.
And instead of contributing to the conversation and having him come forward and say, "Hey, look, we're all dealing with this in different ways, and some of us are being more effective than others, and something's going on here in Florida. We need to share our information with everyone else, and let's find out why we're not getting," and not just fucking brag. See everyone, see Pelosi, see liberals. You didn't have to do all this. See, everybody overreacted. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we did all overreact. Again, we just won't know until we get to the end of this.
My point would be
impossible to know if we're overreacting right now.
And my point would be we're all alive to be like, "Hey, we overreacted."
Yes.
That would be my grander point. Hey, you're alive to bitch me out about it. Fuck face. I don't understand. I can't be on the side of this that just ignores the pure, I've been told for the last 2 months that there is something that if I don't do certain behaviors, I could get infected with and then go infect my family. So guess what? I'm going to take all the precautions that the scientists and doctors are telling me to take. This isn't about my feelings. Okay. This isn't about I'm pissed because I haven't hugged my mom in a month. Who cares? I want my mom to be around to hug a month from now. That's a really weird argument to use, but.
And yes, it is about your freedoms, but it's about your freedoms in light of everyone's freedom.
Yes.
Everyone's freedoms to live in a country that is going to take, reasonable precautions to keep us safe.
And if you can hear our voice and you are not in the state of Michigan, know this. They are not coming around and knocking on my door every night at 8:30 to make sure I'm inside. That's not how it's going. I don't know what news networks you're watching. I've made this point 100 times at this point. Aaron and I have been able to go where we've wanted to go, when we've wanted to go, buy what we've wanted to buy. We've not gotten pulled over.
Yeah. And look, if somebody wants to make a case that their freedoms are being trampled on, if somebody wants to talk about how they think that certain activities are being unfairly restricted in this country, I'm always game for that conversation. I may not always agree with you at the end, but I think it's always a valid point to argue. I'm always for arguing for more freedom.
Yeah.
We should always be talking about how can we have more freedom and not less, and constantly be bumping up against those limitations that we find, well, okay, we'd like to have more freedom in these areas, but we understand that it unduly affects other people and restricts their freedoms.
Yeah.
There's certain concessions that have to be made. But all of these protesters that I've seen tons of clips, I've seen your signs, I've heard you interviewed on the TV. I haven't heard a single person make a single reasonable argument for first of all, why their freedoms are being restricted, and second of all, why they think that the government is overreaching in their actions.
No, they're just running down a list of talking points.
They're just complaining. They are just fucking bitching.
Yeah, they're just running down a list of talking points. And John Oliver used 2 examples of people that seemed like they were running out of steam while they were talking about. But
but you know who's not running out of steam? Fucking John Oliver.
Yeah.
This last weekend's show was just great.
Yeah.
And the first show that he did in the White Void was a little off, and that's understandable. This one was like, he was right back where he needed to be. He found his groove without having to have an audience to play off of.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to mention that because it was a dynamite show.
Well, if you think about it, it's like now everything's just like a giant segment for The Daily Show all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just these people. If you listen to the show, like, I am all for the least amount of government as possible. However, in this case, I am for the most amount of oxygen I can keep breathing.
Yes.
So, and again, there's not tanks rolling down Masonic.
Wait, you mean you haven't realized that there's more important things than living?
Oh, yeah. We'd bring up Dan Patrick and not the sportscaster.
Dan Patrick doubles down. This is the guy who was before saying that he himself would be willing to put his life on the line if it meant not destroying the economy, that that his grandkids would be able to buy, 128-inch television sets for $300 in the future because he got coronavirus and suffocated to death in a hospital bed all by himself.
Good. You go first, Dan. He said something. What did he say? Some things are more important than living. Meaning,
We're still
the
waiting
ability to go out and buy shit. That's what he's talking about.
Not just one person, the ability for everybody to go out and buy shit.
To go out and buy shit. Think about what he said.
To go out and buy shit and pay taxes and keep my job secure.
That's more important than living, according to Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. Yeah, just let that sink in.
We are crushing the economy. And what I said when I was with you that night, there are more important things than living. And that's saving this country for my children and my grandchildren and saving this country for all of us.
What are you, fucking stupid?
The fuck is wrong with him?
It's a false equivalence. We're not being invaded. We're not going to be taken over by coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly.
You piece of shit.
Yeah, because coronavirus won't invade. It'll just kill. This will be the invader that will always win, you idiot. It is a second grade science here, folks. Second grade science. Fifth grade's too advanced for this fool. Second grade science. Dan Patrick, you can go first. You're not allowed to wear a mask. You get no gloves.
And you know what? People aren't worried that the economy is not going to be coming back. That's not what people are talking about. There's a lot of people out of work right now. Obviously, it's stupid to even say it, but let's just, as a starting point, there's a lot of people out of work, and I understand that. But those people who, used to work a retail job or worked in a restaurant that had to close down, that worked at a movie theater, that worked concessions in a sporting arena, they're not thinking that job is gone forever and now I won't ever be able to work retail again. They're just thinking about right now. Right now, I don't have enough money. I need to I need to keep myself alive and my family alive until the economy starts back up and I can get that job back again. It might not be that same job, but they're still planning on getting a job in retail or a job in whatever it looks like on the other end of this. There still will be jobs. That's not what the average person is worried about. This idea that we're killing the economy in certain ways only comes from people who have large portfolios that they're watching being drained.
Or they just don't understand how shit works. Quite honestly, I've read enough articles at this point by economists, that have pretty much backed up what I said a couple weeks ago. This won't be the Great Depression. Why? Because the banks are still solvent, and they're going to stay solvent.
The banks will stay solvent because America is going to continue to be around, and people will lend it money. And when we're all able to and healthily able to go out and do things in public, we absolutely will.
And there's going to be, and this is another thing they're saying too, there's going to be an unprecedented economic event the other way once this is all over.
Imagine what this Christmas is going to look like.
We're going to see the stock market probably double in volume in like a month. That's the kind of shit we're going to see. How we've been seeing all these charts with these unprecedented down arrows. We're going to see them the other fucking way. Yep. Once we get the all clear. Again, it's going to be once a vaccine shows up, that's when it's going to happen.
Right. And Trump, so
it's going to be
thinks that it's going to be immediately, right? Not realizing that in order for that to happen, everyone's going to have to feel safe, and everyone is not going to feel safe until there's an actual vaccine.
Yeah. Or a proven treatment.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
Okay, so, did you see that game the other day? The refs, right? I mean, come on. They were totally out to get us. That always happens to our team. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World.
The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for a table at a restaurant.
Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party... Oh, there you are.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World.
Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
And I tell you, and put it in crude terms, there's the biggest shit of money is going to be taken to the economy we have ever seen when we get the all clear.
Even before then, I mean, we've already seen like a lot of businesses take a major hit, but there's a select few businesses that are making all of that up.
Oh yeah,
like DoorDash, like Amazon,
like if you own
like Netflix,
like grocery stores,
yeah,
Walmart right now just killing it. The company that owns Kroger right now, because they own a ton, like Dillon's and a whole bunch of other shit, killing it. And yeah, anything that delivers right now, minting their own money. Yeah, we're gonna have to create more bandwidth for Netflix to use, because we're just about there.
But the other thing to consider too, when you're talking about reopening businesses, it's in part about how your customers feel. If you can get your customers back in, so let's use movie theater for example, because that's the one that Brian Kemp from Georgia said that he was going to allow to open up next week. So a movie theater, you've got to have a bunch of people willing to drop $10 on a movie and sit next to another person, a stranger. So that's not going to happen right away. Even if the cases drop, even going on even if we're in that period of, seeing 14 days of continual drops in reported cases, the average person, myself included, is not going to feel comfortable going to that movie theater. The next step is to then make sure that the movie theater is properly protected on its own. Mm-hmm. Because a governor can say all he wants, Trump can say all he wants about what businesses are and aren't allowed to do. But if a business opens up and then there's an infection that happens stemming from their location, that business, then they're possibly opening themselves up to many lawsuits about how they acted irresponsibly during a pandemic and got people sick and possibly caused people to die. And that's not, and even if those lawsuits, because it might be a far shot to actually get one of those lawsuits to produce anything, the PR damage alone would be a disaster.
Yeah. No one wants that headline.
So that's what the businesses are looking at. They're not looking at the governor and they're not looking at Trump to give the nod to turn the spigot on again. They're going, can we turn this spigot on without it blowing up in everyone's face?
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing too is if this does happen and some places do open, yeah, I bet you they'll be closed in 2 weeks because, it's costing us more money to keep the doors open than it is to keep them shut.
Yeah.
The free market will fix this one real quickly.
And what are they going to do? They're going to operate at a loss because they want to have some sort of presence for when the economy fully comes back. They'll be perched and ready to jump on it. And they're going to operate at a loss with our taxpayer money. It's going to be taxpayers paying to the government that then funds businesses to operate at a loss so that they can stay open, so they can make it look like the economy's going okay, so Trump can possibly get reelected. That's fucked.
Yeah, but tyranny.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I've been seeing a lot of variations on the "Don't Tread on Me" flag that I've been enjoying. My favorite so far is what is it? Just open up the fucking Applebee's already or something.
Yeah. That does remind me. I haven't eaten restaurant food in beginning of March.
Yeah. I splurged. I splurged a little bit. I got a Big Jets pizza.
Ooh.
And I just finished off the last of it today.
Well, you fancy, huh?
I feasted for 3 days on Jets pizza.
But before this, it was the opposite. It was, we only cooked a couple days a week. Now it's like we actually grocery shop like adults. There's food in the house.
Yeah.
I've actually been making my own meals for a good 6 weeks.
Yep.
Every day.
That's everyone's talking about like, oh, how much weight have you put on during this? Are you eating horribly? And I'm like,
none.
Yeah, actually, no, I haven't put on any weight. I'm probably eating better. Not that I was like a horrible eater, but the more you eat out, the worse you're eating. Unless you're like super rich and you're going to a really fine restaurant that even then is probably just loading everything down with butter, and that's why it tastes so expensive. But yeah, I mean, most people, you're eating out, you're not eating healthy. You're just not.
Well, I think for a lot,
and on average, yes, plenty of people stock their cabinets with junk food, but on average, when you're preparing food at home, you're going to have less additives, you're going to have less processed oils, you're going to have less sugar, you're going to have less salt, because you're not pumping it full of that shit going, I've got to really make sure these people love this shit so they can come back tomorrow.
Well, I guess for me, it's been more reason why I've been cooking during all this. I know who's making the food during all this, and that's just been the thing. But with what you're saying too, like from what I've heard, a lot of people during this, I've heard a lot of people have just been snacking hard. That's the other thing too. Snacking will get you.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm just not snacking. Like I'm a big time snacker, but I have my snack period, which is, after 10 o'clock watching TV. That's when I'll have some cookies. I'll eat a couple oranges.
That is the worst time to.
No, I know.
Well, too, I've also tried to institute not eating after like 6 or 7.
I hear you. It works for me though. I don't put on pounds.
Well,
I've always been like this.
It's
just I'm just lucky in that way.
Well, that's the thing. I have to monitor that, or I will put on weight without even thinking about it. And I think Mandy kind of got the message. She got some snacks twice, and I hit them. She's like, "Why are you doing that?" I was like, "Because I will eat it. That's just how I am. If I know it's there, if I know it's accessible to me, boom, that bag of Doritos, done. And you know what that bag of Doritos is? It's 1,500 calories. All right, that's your whole fucking day minus a meal in one fell swoop. No." And that's the other thing too. They say allegedly it doesn't work for me, keeping an eye on the calories. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm just trying not to gain weight. And I've managed to just stay at the same. I have not put on the COVID-19 as Rob St. Mary has dubbed it. Because I talked to him. He said the first couple of weeks, all he'd been doing was just carbing out.
Yeah. Well, I'm not making any judgments on anyone, and I'm not saying that everyone's full of shit. This is just my own personal experience, but everyone deals with their own shit differently.
Yeah.
There's plenty of, I'm eating decent and maintaining my weight. I'm not losing weight because I'm not eating, which I'm sure a lot of people are going through right now because they're just too stressed. And I'm not overeating and gaining weight. But I tell you what I'm not doing is sleeping right. And I've got to figure that out. I haven't been able to get more than 4 hours in a row lately for like the last week.
Damn. My wife went through a period like that about a month ago. And
I don't know if I don't feel like it's from stress, but
it's just you're out of your routine.
Yeah.
There's no same here. I mean, it's so
but
odd.
It's starting to be like, fuck guessing which day it is. It's looking at the clock and trying to figure out AM or PM.
Well, good thing we don't live in Alaska. At least you have the sun to give you an indicator here.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Is it time to go to work or is it time to watch Better Call Saul?
Yes. When you work from home.
Yes.
You could do both. You did mention that we'd be paying for these theaters because, PPP got more money today. $480 billion?
Yeah. I mean, where do you think all that money is coming from? And I'm not bitching because so far this plan seems to be working, right? I like the idea of my money going to make sure that businesses stay open.
Yeah.
That's a proper use of my tax-paying money. I like it.
Yeah. I'm down to have more than one coffee shop other than Starbucks. Yes, I'll pay for that. Yeah. Ironic as this sounds, I will pay money to keep the free market going. And
and also, owning a small business isn't just something that one type of person does.
No.
It's a situation that many people find themselves in throughout their career. They might go from working from other people to owning their own business to doing both. You don't know when you're going to find your opportunity to do that. And so it's a very important part of our economy. And the only way that we get any real pushback against Amazon and Disney and every other huge conglomerate.
Yeah, I mean, and
the only way that we keep some actual choice on the table.
Yeah, in this country, the small business can be anything from a podcast to a nail salon to a McDonald's franchise. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. There's a lot of things that are small businesses that people don't realize are small businesses.
So, well, have you heard about the Shake Shack thing then? Because I guess they gave back their loan.
Yeah, they said Yeah, and they've been because you had to have the rules for it, at least the base rules. One of them is you have to have less than 500 employees at a single location to count to be qualified as a small business.
That's a pretty broad classification, but I get it.
But how did they do that? I guess this is what I'm wondering. How did they?
What do you mean? They only have like less than 20 people that work at a Shake Shack.
No, but I'm saying, didn't they do it as a company? That's what I'm thinking. Like they did it
at one location. So I don't know. So that's what I was wondering. I don't know if Shake Shack's on a franchise model, if they're all corporate owned stores.
That's what I'm saying.
But it sounds to me like they're all corporate owned and they qualified because it was broken down by location. If you had more than 500 at one location. So like Ford can't claim a factory. But if Ford had a lot of little factories that only 20 people worked at each, that might be a lot of little small businesses.
No, that's exactly what they did. Yeah, they're probably all corporate owned and said there's less than 500 at each location. So yes, let's get it for each one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they gave the money back and it sounded like they were like advertising it too. They were talking about it. And I'm like, so you want to make it seem like, oh, there's other people that need this more. But then when you read into it, it sounds like, we realized the terms weren't really all that great and we didn't need it.
No, what really happened is, trust me, the terms are great. Everyone I've talked to about them, it's a long-term.
I don't know how you can argue with the terms.
It's a long-term low-interest loan where 75% of it is forgiven. It's great terms. No, what Shake Shack did is they got caught. They got caught and now they got to spin the PR machine. They got caught trying to manipulate the system, and now they got to spin the PR machine.
They probably started getting bad PR.
Yes.
From taking this loan that everybody knows is intended for small businesses.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because McDonald's couldn't take this loan. You know what I'm saying?
So this is about as sincere as my $38 that I got back from Esurance.
Yes.
When they sent me an email and said, hey, we noticed that you're not driving as much. And since we're so concerned about your driving activity and how much money you have in your account, we're going to be really nice guys and give this bullshit. We all heard a week later about all the pending lawsuits that were going to come down the pike if you guys didn't do something. And you're lucky that we're not fighting for all of April's premiums back. And that I can be mollified with a 15% return on my premiums when my car, I have kind of a special case because it's broken right now, but I haven't driven anywhere.
Yeah, I did get the day after my full premiums for April cleared, I got an email from Progressive telling me, hey, you're getting a credit in May and June.
Yeah.
I think for me,
did they tell you how much?
No, but it was a percentage, and I figured it out. I'm getting a $74 credit each month. Okay?
Damn,
it's not nothing.
You're paying a lot.
It's when you add it up, it's going to be half of my monthly premium. I'm going to get half a month free in the grand scheme of things. So.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, it's spread out over 2 months. Yeah, I'm getting a 70. Well, I insure 2 vehicles also, sir.
I don't follow your month. So, but it sounds like they returned half of your premium for April and May.
I think I'm getting a 25% credit.
Right. Okay. The way I see how you were doing the math now is just confusing to me for a second.
Yes.
But okay. So yeah, I got 15, you got 25. You made out better than I did.
Damn right. 2 vehicles, assholes.
Yeah.
But and then too, do you see also Wells Fargo, you can't be a bank anymore. How many times?
I hate
How many times can you get caught doing crazy shit and still be allowed to
Oh, yeah, they were found shuffling the...
Yes, to get more fees. Because one of the rules of the PPP is first come, first serve. And Wells Fargo got caught shuffling bigger loans to the top of the pile so they could collect more fees.
Right.
You can't, no more banks for you. You can't be a bank anymore. It's like the third, because what was it? What was it, like 5 years ago when they got caught, what was it, opening fake accounts?
Oh, yeah,
something like that.
They had seniors with like 5 or 6 accounts, just spreading their money around and it was just so that an employee can actually hit their quota.
Yeah.
So that their boss can hit their quota and so on up the chain. And then somebody can point at a chart and go, we opened 100,000 more accounts last month. And meanwhile, they're all like $1 and $2 accounts with, people's money floating around in it. They don't even know it's there. They did like the opposite of Office Space.
Yes, exactly.
They pulled a reverse Office Space on everyone.
And then they had, weren't they one of the banks that got caught manipulating shit in the financial crisis?
Yes.
So, yeah, like...
They're fucking crooked as the day is long.
You can't be a bank anymore.
And they're horrible to deal with. They are shysters. They are fucking criminals. I tell you, I've had loans with Wells Fargo before. They are pieces of shit. This all started, the first big blow up was the charging of insurance. So they kept trying to put insurance on my cars that I had financed through Wells Fargo. I'd get a bill that was all of a sudden $600 for one vehicle for a month. It's, because you don't have insurance, and when you don't have insurance, we just throw our insurance on. I'm like, yeah, but I have insurance. And so I'd have to constantly prove to them that I had my vehicle properly insured, which I always did. And yeah, I mean, only now, I got actually just last month. This was like a decade ago. Last month I got a letter that was like, hey, we settled this lawsuit and you can file and you can get, I don't know, $50 or something. It was like barely even worth my time to fill out the paperwork. But yeah, they've been doing shady shit forever.
And they keep getting caught. And they keep still existing.
Yes, because they're too big to fail. This is the problem with being too big to fail. Like, I was in favor of the bank bailout because I didn't want to see the economy crumble. But I was not in favor of how we didn't try and properly restructure the banks after we bailed them out. They just went back to business as usual.
Yeah.
And the business as usual is what got us into this in the first place. They think that just because they managed to get a handle on the way that they were consolidating these bad real estate loans, these bad mortgages, that they've now got a proper handle on this and that the banks won't do this again. But it's not about the mortgages. It's about the opportunities that the banks are finding, the loopholes that they're finding. They're going to find the same loopholes in something else and find a way to fucking jimmy the numbers, and it's all going to come falling apart. Again, it's a fucking house of cards, and it's just going to be something else. And they're going to get bailed out again because they are secured. Their position is secured. You can't take out the banks without taking out the whole fucking country.
Trust me, it's the same. The same shit with GM. I heard their CEO say this year something that they said in 2008, and I just went, "Wow, you have no long-term memory." What did she say? We're going to just focus on trucks and SUVs because that's what the consumer wants. It's like, you said that shit in 2008 before you needed a bailout. You have no point of reference. We're just going to do it all again?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that American car companies have proven is that they don't know what people want.
Yeah.
They strike gold and they drive it into the ground. That's it. Ford got lucky with the F-150 and they've been riding that for decades.
It's I saw the shit with Wells Fargo and I'm just like, again.
They should just be dismantled. They should be completely dismantled.
Yeah, at some point the government's got to step in and be like, all right, 3 strikes,
company
you're out.
Is just thoroughly rotten all the way through.
You take that company and the $7,000 I have left on the windows that they're financing and get it out of here.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's some good and reasonable people that work for Wells Fargo, and you know what? they'll find a job somewhere else if they're really good and reasonable people.
Yeah.
But it won't even happen. What am I saying?
Yeah,
it'll never happen. Wells Fargo will outlive us all.
They'll get slapped on the wrist, and we'll talk about something else fucked up they did in another little bit.
Yeah. Wells Fargo will own all of America long after I'm gone. My grandchildren will be looking out of the porthole from the space station back at the planet that was once their home and see a large Wells Fargo logo carved into the land across America.
Carved into Kansas, right in the middle of the United States. They got all the open land there. All right, so we got anything else before we wrap up?
I think that about does it.
Yeah, why not?
I've purged my system of venom for the day.
Yeah, we get to do it all again tomorrow.
I'll be well restocked for tomorrow. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
All I have to do is take one peek at the news, and I'm recharged.
Yep. Just load up the Google News feed. Plenty of bullets for the gun tomorrow. And so just follow us on Twitter at @ARegimentedPod and @ARegimented on Instagram. You can email us on regimented@ChristopherMedia.net, which you can go and click the Amazon banner if you want to help us out while you're doing on your online shopping. There's a PayPal button there too if you're feeling generous. If not, it's okay. We get it. Every dollar counts right now. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Spreaker.com, the iHeartRadio app, Stitcher, ChristopherMedia.net. Anywhere there's a podcast, you can listen to us. Drop us a rating, drop us a review, whatever you want. If you like the show, tell a friend. That's how this works. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
So, have you noticed how everyone's grammar is completely awful now? Like, the texting and the LOLs. Whatever happened to punctuation? I mean, drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
ChristopherMedia.net. If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.